All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Hurst podcast. Today we have the privilege of Craig Leo Ra. We have been in each other's ecosystems for a while and just what I would say, just trusting the energy to do its thing and showing up and having a good time is my personal experience. And really this desire to bring you on here and just see what shows up. I think that's what I live in is what shows up when two people talk. And that's what I want to expand to reach more people compared to just one-on-one Facebook chats for eternity. Like, how do we get this into community? So with that, anything you want to start the game off of, I kind of feel this like almost, tether volleyball game or tennis game of that's what I got. What shows up for you? I'd love to hear what organically and authentically comes through for you.
Well, I'm coming invited, so you can start the topic, and we can go anywhere we want to go with that.
Okay, I love it. Thanks for saying that. So, what is my intention for today? I'm gonna just say I was like, I live from this being the lowest common denominator. Yes, I would love A for you to share more what lights you up behind the background, and B, I'm just gonna jump right in. I would love to geek on simulation theory with my brain and consciousness trapped in lowest common denominator. I want this to make sense. The government probably understands it already. I want this to make sense inside of the mental health system, jail systems, the court system, the church today. How do we translate what you're up to that I could go preach? Well, I don't get to preach at Sunday sermons because the Bible is against that. If I were able to, what would I do? How
Yeah.
would I teach the church simulation theory?
Yeah, no, that's a good topic. That's one of my favorite topics. It's been my topic since I was actually 3 years old when I first actually entered the simulation administration room, which doesn't make any sense to anyone unless you watch The Matrix. And when you watch The Matrix, it is a documentary and not a movie, because prior to this, I was going into it beforehand, didn't even know what I was going into. And now that I'm now an adult at 40, going to be 45 in 3 days, um, I actually have done a lot of research on it, not as an imaginary thing of doing it, because one thing that I do know, and I'll just establish this, a lot of this sounds woo-woo because a lot of people don't see this. There's a physical reality, then there's the energy reality, then there's the mind reality.
Mhm.
And having those things all come together, we're very used to, and I know we had this conversation, to a physical reductionist philosophy of life, which means that if you can't prove it, it never happened. And so, how I like to say that is billionaires don't exist. And the reason why billionaires don't exist is because you've never seen $1 billion in your life. And if you ever met someone who called themselves a billionaire, um, chances are they're lying because you never saw the $1 billion. And you can say, well, the news told me about the $1 billion. You're like, okay, so you believe the news. So you believe third party people, but you won't believe the experience that states there is no $1 billion. So that's one of the difficulties with the physical reductionist theories is that when we try to prove these things, the only thing we have, and this is what really comes down to, is what Nietzsche says is the only thing I can prove is that I exist.
Mm.
And if I prove that I exist, then my
Mhm.
experience is more important than what others are telling me.
Mm.
And the reason for that is because we live in a matrix, a simulation in which other people are trying to control the reality in which you live, because the way that reality works is what you think and believe is created around you. And if you are around people in circles who are trying to strive for power or strive for control, they will tell you a story that will allow you to think in their structure of ways. And that structure is the matrix. And that is the structure, the laws, the rules, the dogmas. That's where religion comes in. That's where economics comes in. That's where politics comes in. That's where culture comes in. They're all trying to tell you the same story. But what do you experience could be completely different than what they're telling you. And so you have to think, do I want to be part of society? Or do I want to be an independent, authentic individual who can think for themselves?
Mm.
And yeah, maybe I have some crazy ideas. Maybe I do. If they're not practical, I'm not going to, go out there and say, we're in the matrix and go out, and have a sign going, we're matrix, 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 get out of the matrix, because that's going to mean nothing because no one's going to understand that. And that's why we're having this conversation.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh. I don't know if you can tell, like I'm so lit up. My cheeks are already sore from smiling because these are conversations and really what I see you are equipped and have been equipping yourself in some way since four. And I like to be quote unquote a stick in the mud to say, okay, you said all that. And I totally like there's every part of me that puts all the dots
Yeah.
together, feels it, sees it. And then there's that person that's like, and y'all are crazy. So with that, in my pursuit of demystifying reality, as I say, I personally live from the concept that yes, there is a matrix, as I understand experience. And compared to quote unquote escaping the matrix, like all you're going to escape into is another matrix, is
You
my
gotta come
personal.
back right here. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no like escaping the matrix in the sense of you're not going to go out of the pattern. It's being able to become aware of the pattern. And what I said, literally, quite honestly, my first TikTok that got me a million views is either working for you or against you. Is
That's
your
right.
reality working for you? Is it working against you? And
Right.
what it will say, the divide and just the divine orchestration and what is fun in this quote unquote game and simulation, whatever, is this experience of like, of course, we put two things in opposition of each other and you have to navigate the two things because it's like, I have all this energy and excitement to make it make sense, and I have to make it make sense in the most literal, simple, distilled down way. And I'm like, they're so far apart from each other. Yet that pursuit of getting into that middle spot, which is literally like such a fine tooth, like eye of the
Yeah.
camel, I quite experienced, for me has been frustrating. I will say that has completely shifted, completely new embodiment in this conversation with you of like, oh, this is fun. Like I'm
Yeah.
not alone playing this game anymore. And I think that's been my honest pursuit of those that are committed, like myself, of yes, the woo, inevitable, mystical, crazy stuff is mind blowing. And what does it actually accomplish in the game if we're not translating it for those that are being harmed by the reality? So I don't know anything
Correct.
inside of that speaks to you. I'm so lit up. I have all the feels. I'm so lit up in this
Yeah.
conversation.
Well, I've been studying this for a while, and not because I knew it was a matrix. So I'll just give you a little bit of history of why I feel and why I believe and why I know what I'm seeing is true, is because I had no way of knowing about the movie The Matrix. I had no way of knowing about the movie Tron. I had no way of moving all these, The Minority Report, and all these movies and shows and stuff. Because at 3 years old, maybe Tron came out, but my parents never let me watch it because we were in a Christian home, and so
Mhm.
I never watched movies. I never watched anything that was could affect my mind. I was growing up in Christian culture, and
Mhm.
so I read the Bible all the time. And when I was 3 years old, something happened, something supernatural happened. I was in a traumatized situation, and something appeared that night in my room and said, Craig, what's happening to you is not your fault. You need to remember three things:
Mhm.
love wins,
Mhm.
love overcomes. Now
Mhm.
go tell your parents what's happening.
Mhm.
And so I ran to my parents and told them what's happening. The thing that was happening was so outrageous that, it was horrible. It was traumatic. That a little 3-year-old would never know that's what that was. And when my
Mhm.
parents went and confronted the person who abused me, they rejected it completely. But I remembered the two things that this entity told me: love wins and love overcomes. So I called my mom over, told my mom come over, and I said, Mom, I need to talk to him. And so she took me over and says, would this little boy lie? Would this little boy lie? And he said, yeah, yes, he would lie. And I'm like, it's okay. I came down, said, put me down, Mom. And I gave him a big hug and I said, it's okay. You're loved. No one here is trying to hurt you. God loves you. I love you. We all love you. You can tell them what happened and what you did. And at 3 years old, he broke down because, of course, you would broke down if your 3-year-old did that to you. But that solidified in my head at
Mhm.
3 years old that something supernatural came into my life that allowed me to recognize that it's real and not something that I made up in my head that I imagined.
Mhm.
And then 7 years later, I was having these weird nightmares, these weird night terrors. And what these terrors were is I saw this thing. It was a box that would go woo, 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 woo. And anything that went into that box, and this is a night terror, anything that went to that box was destroyed instantly. It was like boom, you could see all the light behind me. It was like and I was terrified because I didn't want to go into that thing, whatever it was. And it was happening over and over and over. And my mom said to me, she said, Craig, you're a smart child. I'm like, yeah. She says, it's just a dream. It's just a dream. Just go into it. See what happens. So, of course, it's a night terror. So it's going to repeat itself all the time, right? And so I went in the next night and the night terror happened. And this time I'm like, okay, let's do it. And I went in and went boom. And when I went in, I woke up like this, like what we are right now in this physical reality. Like I saw I had a body, I had everything, but everything around me, the movie Minority Report or Matrix, I was inside a box and I had holograms and holographic interfaces that I could actually interact with, and I could actually interact with them. And this is at 7 years old. This is before Matrix. This is before Apple Computer had the Ribbon. This is before all these computer graphics out there. This is 1987. I mean, you could probably find a couple movies out there that might had some computer graphics that would relate to this, but nothing I've ever seen until I saw the Matrix. I was in the architect room. And when I was in the architect room, I saw all these screens everywhere. And I could touch the screen. And when I touch the screen, I go, and I'll be inside whatever that screen was. And now I'm in my room, but everything's blue. I'm like, this is a blue world. Okay, that's interesting. So I went back to sleep and I woke up, and now everything is a weird world. And everything was on. I went to a one was I looked through all the screens and found the weird screen that was like sideways. So I pressed the screen and I went in the screen and it was all sideways like this. Everything was on a 33-degree angle. And so I thought it was weird because I could put my hand through and see how my hand works like that. And you think that, it's like I could move across the room because if I just went around the weird angles, I could actually move my hand 14 feet and turn off and on the light. Now I thought I was dreaming. This is me having a dream. I thought this was just a dream until I turn off and off the light. My mom says, Craig, why are you still awake? Stop turning off and on your light. And I'm like, this is real, because I would never imagine that. I wouldn't imagine that. And then the door opens, and my mom's like, ring. I'm like, nah. I was like freaked out. So the emotion was there. I woke up, I went back into the architect room, and I went right back to where my original thing was, and I pressed it, and I woke up in my room, and I got up and ran up, went left, hit the wall, and I was like, what the heck? And I'm like, what was that doing there? And I walked in my mom's room and I said, Mom, I had a nightmare and I went through it and I survived it. And it was, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, oh, that was a great dream. I said, but something's weird. And she goes, what? I said, why is my room across from your room? She goes, what? I'm like, my room changed places. I'm now across from you. And she goes, Craig, your room's always been across from us. I'm like, no, it hasn't been. I said, I chose the room away from your room. I'm the eldest. Remember, you gave me a choice on where I get to choose my room. I wanted my room away from your room because I didn't want you to know if I'm awake or not when you walk by. And she goes, Craig, you just had a bad dream and you just forgot. You're like, of course they wouldn't think. I literally woke up in another reality and I stayed there up until 2015. So I was my house now, my room was right. So the kitchen's right there, the hallway's there. My parents' room was right here, and my brother's room is right there, and my room's right there. But now we're switched. My brother's room's over here, and my room's over here. Now, you could say that was just my imagination. You could say all this stuff. Years later, I talked to my brother, and I said, Stefan, I said, I have a question for you. He goes, what a question? I'm like, I have a question about the house in Leominster. He goes, yeah. I said, how long has it been since we lived there? He goes, probably about 20 years. I'm like, right. Where's your room? And he said, across from mom and dad's room. I'm like, what? He's across from mom and dad's room. He remembers being across the room. I said, think again. He's like, what the heck? How did we switch rooms? I'm like, I know. Now you got it. And so my brother now recognizes that happened. I have lots of experiences that just support that I went through something that I can't explain. And now that could just be, and we could put it back to, it's not practical. It's not real. I mean, it's not really that I forgot which room I was. But I do feel that there is a purpose behind this simulation. I do feel that something was actually here. We've been here for a while, and I believe that it was all for good. I don't believe it was for evil. I don't think it was for any negative thing. What I believe in the full aspect of everything of the conclusion, I'm going to give the conclusion first. so that we can go further into it, is that we were in a future, and I say future, I'm like 2050, 2070,
Mhm.
in which we created technology that allowed us to upload our consciousness into a server so that we could be perpetually in heaven. So you see the Black Mirror episode called San Juan or San Trapino or whatever it's called. Um, that when I saw that episode, I'm like, I know. And then the movie or the show Upload, if you see
I think I've seen it. Yeah,
Upload, there's a lot of these movies. I believe that's what we did, and it
yeah.
was heaven. It was our heaven. It was
Mhm.
supposed to be perfect. It was supposed to be great. Everything's going, but we've been in there for a million years now. We don't know how long we've been inside this thing because every time it resets, it resets, because this is our heaven. This is where we want to be.
Mhm.
And I think somebody figured out or remembered that we were inside a matrix in a simulation and altered it, realizing they could actually tweak and find exploits. And
Mhm.
we've been not suffering, but pain has come into this
Yeah.
this matrix as a result.
And I see that too, and I two things that come up for me that gets me out or like helps me hold that is that the quote unquote the lower you go, the higher you go. If we did want to experience the fullness, there is the need to experience the fullness, and that's much of what we've done. Is the elevated experience of elevation emotion is real, and we're experiencing is real, and that's what we're trying to create. We've accomplished that. That is part of the process and the pursuit and the quote unquote development. I see too the concept of like iPhone 1 to the iPhone we have now. It's like it was a concept, and it before it was an iPhone, it was a bunch of thoughts and a bunch of people's brains that got formulated into this. And so,
Yeah.
whatever that evolution process is, I will say for my own sanity, I tend to walk away from all those because I can get so lost. And it's like,
Hmm.
okay. And people are still suffering. And really, my thing that I come to that roots me in is I don't believe we were designed to die. So, if that's the
No.
case, I have work to do today until no one's dying. I have something to do. And what is the highest good? My brain's buzzing as confirmation as I just get that resonance
Yeah.
that there is a harmonious frequency that we're all tuned into. And when we hit that, our cells react. And
That's
so
right.
it's like, that's where I'm at. And I don't want to go Jesus 2.0. I'd like to create something unique and original because I think we've been running that script for a long time.
Yeah.
Uh, as I choke there, thank you for that confirmation. I will also say I can collapse in what my experience is. Well, not the same in the sense of I had dreams and awake. I went into a room that will look like this with no information. And so I hadn't slept for 3 days. And as I fall asleep and wake up, all I do is I wake up in a white room with no information. And so
That's
I
right.
didn't have anything I had no time, I had no space, I had nothing to
Yeah.
ground into. So I don't know what's real or awake. And I don't know, and I don't know. And I've got 36 hours of I don't know, trying to fall asleep, wake up, try to fall asleep, wake up. And I lose my fucking mind. I, at one point, have the case in the corner because it says, I'm Jesus. I make the rules. I'm like, I'm not Jesus. What the fuck is happening? I'm in the corner saying, I'm the top, I'm the top, I'm the top. Like, just fucking stay here, Jenna. Don't lose your mind. Like, you're going
Yeah.
to lose your mind. And I eventually, at one point in time, go, is this the Matrix? I go to the door crying. It breaks open. I'm like, okay, what's next? I go to the next door. It doesn't break open. 3 security guards come for me. At that point in time, I'm not going back in the box. I pushed every ounce of energy through me. I felt my spirit leave my body. I woke up the next day and I'm like, I'm in heaven. What do I do now? Ascension Day was July 4th. I'm in heaven. What do we do now? And that's been 2 years now. And I talk too fast because my mind's blown at this fucking reality and I'm manic. I don't do whatever and I'm whatever. Like trying to just simply exist here has been the challenge and the battle. And then it's like, I'm alone. And they're like, you're not alone. You need to learn your lesson. And it's like, whatever I say doesn't work. And so when I
Yeah.
get to go in resonance with someone, which is much of the gift of meeting Aaron and whatever has birthed out of that, is just this experience of like, I'm so isolated that it's like I am exactly where I need to be at every present moment and I know that. And so it's like even this like it was scheduled, like there was an appointment that we had at noon today 10,000 100,000 years ago, and I just feel that fully of we're truly walking in what we designed, and I feel that fully and I get that fully and I get so excited and I don't know how to contain it half the time. So I was going to pass the
Yeah.
mic and say I just have to walk away because I get so excited and it blows my mind.
Yeah. The crazy part, not crazy part. I that word. I use that word as in like amazing part. I like using the word crazy and
Oh, I love
weird and
crazy
all.
to amazing. Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So
yes.
some people get like, I'm not crazy, but
Yeah.
no. The crazy part about the whole thing is, I've been to that room, and I
Mm.
actually got to create dolls, and I actually got to make turn them into people. They were all mannequins, and I walked by, and I they were all mannequins. I put energy to it, and they gain themselves. and then they'd have a soul. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was all in my head,
Mm-hmm.
just like the side.
Mm-hmm.
Then I told this story to this guy who calls himself Thoth. And I didn't tell him the full details of what I experienced. I just said, I went into a room and there was mannequins in there. And he says, "Oh, you've been to that game." I'm like, "What game?" He goes, "Oh, that's just a game." I'm like, "Tell me more about this game." He goes, "It's a white room." He says, "And you're tasked to create something in that room. You're tasked to create creation." He says, "And then what you create, you give life to." And it's a white room.
Mine was
And
real though, like it was a psych box. Mine was a
yeah,
physical 3D. I created a
yeah,
movie in there, though. I did create a movie I'm working on pitching to
yeah,
the planet. So yeah,
yeah.
keep going.
But we all go into that. You interpreted it
Uh-huh.
as this thing, and this is where we diverge a little bit. Is
Okay.
that your reality? In order for you to understand where you were, you transferred yourself to the physical reality because you're more in the physical. It has to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened is the Matrix put a over
Mm-hmm.
around you to
Mm-hmm.
make you think. So what happens is there's a universe generative seed machine that
Mm-hmm.
retrocausal changes the memory in your mind to
Mm-hmm.
match the memory of what it is today in
Mm-hmm.
order for you not to go insane.
I feel that
And so,
fully, and I feel that fully. I feel that fully, and that's where I am so committed to grounded it in reality, especially whereas before. And like what I will say, based on my experience, it literally we designed it this way, and
yeah,
that's what. So I mean, really, my experience in there too. I had the case, and I was like, "This is so fucking good." Like, of
yeah,
course this would happen. Like, this is so good, and so I've got this. This is so good experience. Well, yes, my physical human is being martyred, and I think I'm going to die because I'm literally having a biochemical medical emergency. Like, it's not to
yeah,
be dismissed. Like in the physical reality, I believe we get justice for the wrongs that are done against us. And what happens to me fits under the literal RCW of kidnapping in Washington state. So I don't
yeah.
believe we deny the physical reality because crime is being committed.
It's
Justice
still
gets to be
happening.
served. It's still
Yeah,
happening. And if I
yeah,
don't get justice for myself, it's going to happen to another human. And I do not want that. So I get super
yeah,
passionate. Either way, I'll walk away. I was made for this, though. Like, I was made for this to every ounce and fiber. I know that in my soul. I want everyone out there to see their life in the same way. That empowerment you get, that fucks the matrix up. I'm just going to say it point blank. Like, if
yeah.
you want to blow the matrix up, be confident that you are perfectly designed. Like, it will
Right.
not go well in the whole you're bad, broken, and wrong world. So I just get so lit up. And yes, I truly see for myself, and I see that too, like especially in the liminal space when I go when I go before I sleep, I can collapse
Yep.
everything out. And so I'm left with this world of like, I'm the only one, I made everything. I know we kind of had this conversation,
Yep.
and it just does not work to continue on the mission of people not ending their lives today. Like I will get lost in that conversation and
Yep.
quote whatever be seen as whatever. So there is an experience of I love playing with that. I love playing and having fun, and how do we balance it out to be on mission and play and actually do it from fun, play, and bliss. And what I really want to invite people into is that, and what I'm trying to create as a culture is like we are a collective consciousness that like 10 bazillion years ago, whether you believe or not, I believe that we did. So like you and I made plans, and these are our plans, and we're walking in them now. Like let's have a good
Yep.
time. And that's literally also scripture too, which we left for ourselves to leverage and use. And so
Yep.
there's so much there that it's been divinely designed this way. I'm just in some ways wasn't 3, wasn't 7, haven't had these experiences that have literally structured your whole reality. I just discovered it 2 years ago, whatever.
Right.
And
Yep.
so I led a very ignorant in the box life. And it sounds like from you, from as next to close to birth as you can get,
Yep.
have just lived in this altered space trying to make sense. Like it's just who you are. It's the way you go through
Yep.
life and the wisdom and
It's
faith that you are for that. And it's how do we balance it and reach the least of these is my pursuit. And
right.
so I want to think you said something as your top 3 to talk about for eternity that was like helping people. There's words you said. I don't know if it works to kind of transition. Also, I use the
Well,
free
yeah,
level.
absolutely. That's where we're going to transition to.
Okay, perfect. And also, I have the free level of Zoom. I'll give you the heads up. I love the limitation of 40 minutes. So just FYI, we're at 26 and we
We
get
got 20
40.
minutes.
We'll go from
All right.
there.
So we talked about that fact that I experienced Matrix in a different way because I was never told what reality was. My
Mm,
good news, my parents loved my imagination, so they thought I was just being creative, and so they never said, "Oh, that you have an imaginary friend," or they didn't do that. So and they were Christians, which in a big way, I'm anti-religious, and I don't believe Christianity is telling the full truth.
mhm,
But at the same time, being raised up in a Christian home, I was raised protected, and I was allowed to express spiritual aspects because they thought I was talking about the Holy Spirit, and I thought I was talking about the Holy Spirit. So I was able to go into spiritual aspects of life. Um, but the thing that I do know is that we have multiple souls here. Like we might be a collective, but you're an individual. I'm an individual. You know, the people around us, there might be NPCs, there might be background people, there might be actors, but it doesn't matter because we don't interact with them anyway. But the people we interact with are real.
Mhm.
And when you hear of people being abused, used, I've been abused, I got used, I got everything else. So I feel the traumas of the things. That's how I got woke up.
Mhm.
Um, I have dedicated everything I can to help people come back to being productive reality and being
Mhm.
healed.
Mhm.
Even if their reality is warped, I
Mhm.
figured out a way to solve their
Mhm.
warped reality to allow them to
Mhm.
still be here in this
Mhm.
reality and
Mhm.
do practical things.
Yes.
And so when I see abuse and I see perpetrators of abuse and victims of things that should never happen, I have a thing of justice and
Mhm.
I need to find justice for that
Mhm.
for them. I need to save them, but
Mhm.
I'm not their savior because I can't do everything. So we need to work as a community
Mhm.
to create new rules. And I say rules, I don't mean laws. I mean,
Mhm.
they're already laws. I'm talking about rules of conduct
Mhm.
in which if someone comes up to you and says, I've been hurt by somebody, you don't just go say, oh, I know that somebody would never do that.
Hopefully
No,
you
you
find the
take them
peace of
seriously.
Jesus. That's the one I get. Hopefully you find the peace of Jesus and can forgive them. That's the one I
Right. What is that? It's, I'll forgive them
Yeah.
once they understand. If they came to me and apologized, or they came and said, I would like to pay my redemptions, then I have an opportunity to forgive them
Yeah.
because they realized they did wrong and they were innocent of evil when they did it. So they're not guilty of evil
Mhm.
because they didn't know they were doing it.
Yeah.
But if they do not apologize for the evil they did and they uphold or deny the evil they did, now they're not innocent of evil. They're
Mhm.
fully aware of the evil they did, and therefore justice needs to be served in some way. And I don't know how that is,
Yeah.
but that don't care about those people, to be honest. I care about the victim. And the victim of that, I want to make sure they're healed, taken
Mhm.
out of that situation, and have the power
Mhm.
to not give energy to them. And one of those things I do, and that we segue to, is I help empaths
Mm.
stop giving energy to narcissists. And
Mhm.
everyone's like, oh, it's duality. You know, empaths have to give their energy to someone. No, Guy Kowalski of Apple Evangelist, the app for Apple Computer Evangelist, he said there's two types of people. There are bakers and pie eaters. And the
Mm.
thing with bakers is they can bake the pie and eat the pie. So we don't need pie eaters.
I love that. It's so good, so true. And it's like, okay, obviously you're in this box for this reason, and we're not able, we have no access point. You've created a pattern and path for your own self in the quote unquote narcissist dynamic. You do not have an access point, and finding those that are in the space of access points and something I'm very passionate about in many ways, deconstructing the word narcissist out is it's so easy for an empath to just label something that doesn't work for them as a narcissist. And I'm like, or is that person also an empath trapped in the same thing?
Right.
And that's where
The
I
narcissist qualities.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I just there's so much there, the flip side. And those that would be perceived as narcissists, I do still think we're triangulated in here. We'll break it out. And there's one other thing with narcissist dynamic. Oh, for me as quote unquote empath, being the number one narcissist, that's my whole thing. Is like, how do I be the number one
Yeah.
narcissist? Like my energy matters. I'm tuned into the frequency of the planet. I matter. My energy matters, and much of my codependent, very codependent life, and somewhat still am. And I really think there's a part of me that wants to not be wrong for being codependent. Like that's the best template I've got until we figure out interdependency. And so
Yeah.
I don't want to go alone, isolated with the trauma of solitary confinement. Isolation is a very big wound for me. And I don't have people like yourself that want to integrate me back to reality. I know one hit in my system takes me out for 10, 12 days because I don't know how to function here anymore based on being quote unquote out of the system, which literally feels like that heaven and hell in the Bible. Like
Hmm.
it is an energetic wall that if I touch, it is this like extreme reaction. And so I don't like to fuck with it. With that, what I really hear and see, there was something that really lit up when you were speaking. It was this concept of loving the narcissist, protecting your energy, just anything in there. Because I truly see those that are here are just getting waylaid every day in not being equipped to navigate the energetic hits. And also, if you have anything science wise, I can see it too in a relationship dynamic of like this person's not aware of the energy pattern. This person is coming in taking energy. This person's infected. They don't know they're affected. I just
Yeah.
see that, and I can't speak to that person in a way to translate what I'm seeing because it's still so woo in a sense. So anything to
Yeah.
de-woo as we finish this out.
Yeah, no, I agree. With empaths, it's really simple. I do narcissism, but narcissism is there's narcissistic disorder, and then there's just narcissist tendency. So I just group them in narcissism.
Mhm.
But I agree with you. There is nuances. There could be toxic empaths who stopped giving energy because they've been abused too much, and now they're completely
Mhm.
blocked in there.
Mhm.
Or there's
That's
toxic
what it is.
empaths who have given out all their energy, and now they're self-depleting because they can't
Mhm.
replenish their energy
Mhm.
fast enough because
Mm.
they're too connected to everyone else. So
Mhm.
I understand that there is definitely a spectrum in that situation. But the best advice is that first you need to know that it doesn't matter if you're a narcissist or a empath in the spectrum of any types. You need to love yourself, not be selfish in that love, but be love yourself and know that you have self-worth. And when I say selfish, I mean prideful, egotistical. You know, I'm always perfect. That's we're not perfect. And if you think that you're perfect, then you're a narcissist. It's just like,
When I heard a shift I had a while ago, compared to being selfish, be self-full. Like be
yeah,
so full of self that you're out to be in connection with other. I
right.
think the big
Because
distinction is connection.
I agree. And I say selfishness is actually a good thing in
Mhm.
that selffulness. That
Yes.
selffulness is because the best thing for me is that you're happy. The
Mhm.
best thing for me is that everyone around me has joy. Best
Mhm.
thing for me is that they learn to love themselves so that they can love everyone else, so
Yes.
that they're full of energy because
Yeah.
now we can interact as a community. We can actually
Yeah.
help each other out. So
Yeah.
I teach or I instruct as a life coach and energy healer. Just some little tips on how to love yourself.
Mm.
You know, understand that you are worthy. That and I always and I go into woo woo in this side. I say that you are God
Mhm.
because God is inside you, and
Mhm.
let that God inside you come out.
And God
And
picked to be in to exist inside of me. Like I'm a big deal if God picked to be inside of me as a living example on the planet. And that's a big ask. And who am I to be living this? It's hard to hold that at times to
yeah,
be quote unquote that important. It's just we all are that important. We don't believe
we're
it
all
as
that important.
mind. Yeah,
That's
we're
right.
mind bending
We're,
in that way.
we're all God manifest in the flesh and walking amongst each other.
Yes.
Um, my name is Ra because if you look at my name, Craig, where is Ra located? Ra is
Mhm.
inside,
Oh,
is within me.
good. CRIG. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So I'm Ra, and why am I Ra? Because I'm God. Where's God? Well, God's inside Craig.
Uh-huh.
So that's one of the little funny things I found about my name.
I love
But
that.
you have to understand that you are a self-worth person who's worthy of love, worthy of your actions, worthy of your
Mm.
authenticity. And if you want to have freedom, everyone's like, I want to be free to do what I want. Freedom is not the freedom to do whatever you want. Freedom is to live the authentic life that you want. And nobody ever wants to abuse people, be abused by people. No one wants that. So you're not free when you participate in that behavior because the one thing that's missing in freedom when you say that is love. And
Mhm.
everyone's like, love. Well, love, 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 love.
Mhm.
That's not love if you think that's love, love, love. Love is something that you feel, express, and move. It's forgiveness, it's trust. But it doesn't mean you don't have boundaries. It doesn't mean that you don't have opinions. It means that you need to find your soul family. You need to find the people who are in alignment with you and resonate with you, who will encourage, support, and you can encourage and support as well. That's love. That's
And it's
connection.
see, newly too, as you say that, that's where the authentic frequency does resonate so much higher than love, is it's like that is that pursuit to go from what was upside down to right side up and the snow globe experience. There is a pursuit to get to a specific feeling that we know as resonant soul experiences. Like that pursuit is worthy, the journey is worthy, like it's meant to be happening. I have to be an active participant, and it's happening in spite of me. Like it is both and to be able to navigate the limbo land that the brain needs to go to walk that powerfully. I will just say, I'll preach it out. That's why we need support with other people. Like, we need confirmation of our existence. We need something that helps us out, even scriptural to go 2 by 2. We do need each other. I'm just gonna say, as I finish it out and pass the mic to have you finish, is what I was saying is just really the taking responsibility for the angst that I had in our conversation. Because for me, it's like the shake. I'm like, how can we create? What can we create? I'm so tired of talking. And in many ways, I'm
Mhm.
still talking. It's just right now, I'm so tired of talking one-on-one, behind the scenes, being a voice and a speaker and a mouth and a views counts. I'm like, no, let's get together and celebrate what we've created now. We need funds and resources to function within inside of the current box of the matrix, which for me, I experienced the bigger box, which is synergy, where everything just is already taken care of. And
Yeah.
so playing the game of hell, so to speak, is how I like to say it. Either way, I've yet to figure out how to do it effectively. I know I'm doing it perfectly, so I'm not worried. And for the person listening today, as I pass the mic with your 3 minutes left, I'd love for you to say why you matter, what, however that shows up for you, whoever you that shows up as, and what you want to leave the people with to really make that impact, to make that impact. I really see that experience of the pictures behind you, to explode in that quote unquote black box that they may be trapped in right now, trying to get out.
Some things that I like to leave with people to understand is there's always support. It's always good to ask for help. It's not a weakness
Mhm,
because we're not perfect and we all have strengths
mhm,
and we all have weaknesses.
mhm,
So find the people who can help support you in your weakness
mhm,
and help those who are weak,
mhm,
lift them up.
mhm,
And that means anything from, like, people are like, what can I do? Well, go down, when you go down the park, and you see litter on the ground, this is crazy. Pick it up. Do come to those things. You might think that you're not doing a big thing, but if everyone sees you picking up litter,
mhm.
everyone else is going to pick up litter because they're not going to feel that the odd one out doing that. They're going to feel part of the community.
Totally.
Um, at night, when you go to sleep, it doesn't matter what you did. If you did anything that made you happy in any aspect, celebrate that success. Before you go to sleep, say, I'm so thankful for being successful in the fact that I went to work today. I'm so successful that I had 3 meals today. Or whatever it was. Even if you never get out of bed and you're like, I just got out of bed today and that's all, I was depressed, whatever. Celebrate the fact you were able to get out of bed today. And
Mhm,
then in the morning, when you wake up, because when you go to bed, you're grateful when you go to bed. In the morning, what you want to do is you want to do some affirmations and just simply say, I am loved, I am wanted, I'm appreciated, I'm accepted. The universe is looking after me. I
mhm.
shall enjoy my day. And
Mm.
then just go out into your day. And what you're going to find is your brain will start to rewire itself. And from that point, if you feel loved, worthy, you're going to share that with other people. So when you do see someone who's on a bad day,
Mm.
well, you're not on a bad day anymore. Now you can help support those people.
Oh, I could go on and on. There's so much. There's something really powerful about that space before you fall asleep and what you can do on the quantum bringing timelines. And I could geek out on
Mhm.
that plus hypnosis. We're gonna just simply drop off of here in just a second because we're out of time. We're gonna be talking again. I just have that feeling, so I'm gonna let that go and know that. Thank you for starting the conversation at this level, and I'm so excited for what's next. Peace,
Yeah,
love, happiness. Big love to you,
love
Craig. Yes, yeah. Bye.